All right, I want to get to the issues, but right before I came out, they told me Keith Olbermann is quitting.
Yeah. It's been a big day at MSNBC. At least it's been a big 15 minutes.
What happened?
Keith announced at the end of his show tonight that he and the company made a mutual decision that Countdown is done.
Well, that's always bullshit.
Well, that's what I mean. The thing is, though, I know very little about it. All I know is that it was between Keith and the company. It didn't involve any of the rest of us, and he was really gracious and nice when he left.
Once he started backing off worst persons in the world, that
all downhill.
It really is all downhill.
He took it away, and then it came back. And then it came
back like with a parenthesis. I don't really mean it. You know what? Stop organizing life around the people who don't get the joke. Fuck them if they don't get a joke. All right. Well, I always enjoyed his show. I hope he comes back.
The same fantasy has popped into the head of everybody in my business who has ever been told what I've been told, that this is going to be the last edition of your show. You go directly to the scene from the movie Network, complete with the pajamas and the raincoat, and you go off on an existential, otherworldly, verbal journey of unutterable profundity and vision. You damn the impediments and you insist upon the insurrections, and then you emit Peter Finch's guttural, resonant "so." And you implore, you will the viewer to go to the window, open it, stick out his head, and yell. Well, you know the rest. In the mundane world of television goodbyes, reality is laughably uncooperative. When I resigned from ESPN 13 and a half years ago, I was literally given 30 seconds to say goodbye at the very end of my last edition of SportsCenter. As God is my witness, in the commercial break just before the emotional moment, the producer got into my earpiece and he said, can you cut it down to 15 seconds so we can get in this tennis result from Stuttgart? So I'm grateful that I have a little more time to sign off here. Regardless, this is the last edition of Countdown. It is just under 8 years since I returned to MSNBC. I was supposed to fill in for the late Jerry Nachman for exactly 3 days. 49 days later, there was a 4-year contract for me to return to this nightly 8 p.m. time slot, which I had fled 4 years earlier. The show gradually established its position as anti-establishment, from the stagecraft of Mission Accomplished, to the exaggerated rescue of Jessica Lynch in Iraq, to the death of Pat Tillman, to Hurricane Katrina, to the nexus of politics and terror, to the first special comment. The program grew and grew thanks entirely to your support, with great rewards for me, and I hope for you too. There were many occasions, particularly in the last 2.5 years, where all that surrounded the show, but never the show itself, was just too much for me. But your support and loyalty, and if I may use the word insistence, ultimately required that I keep going. My gratitude to you is boundless, and if you think I've done any good here, imagine how it looked from this end as you donated $2 million to the National Association of Free Clinics, and my dying father watched from his hospital bed, transcendently comforted that his struggles were inspiring such overwhelming good for people he and I and you would never meet, but would always know. This may be the only television program wherein the host was much more in awe of the audience than vice versa. You will always be in my heart for that,